Hi everyone, my name is Levin, and if you don't know me already, I was able to climb to Grandmaster with mainly playing Symmetra. In Overwatch 1, I peaked 2900 in DPS playing Symmetra. I was struggling to understand what more I could do to improve my gameplay and rank up. So in this guide, I'm going to go over the basics of Symmetra's kit and utility, how to properly use her kit and utility in certain situations, and the thought process over quick decision making. So without further ado, let's get started. Symmetra's primary fire is a short to almost mid-range beam that has 3 levels of charge. Level 1 is the default by doing the least damage, and level 3 being the highest level doing the most damage. You get this charge by beaming down enemies. You could also charge your beam on shields like Reinhardt's shield, Sigma's shield, Symmetra's shield, Winston's bubble, and Zarya's bubble. You could also charge your beam on an enemy Symmetra's ultimate. If you notice through these examples, whenever Symmetra charges her beam on shields, it replenishes her ammo in her primary fire. Symmetra's secondary fire is an orb that builds up damage the longer you charge it up. Upon release, you throw it like a projectile, dealing burst damage to enemies. This orb can be used at any range. A fully charged orb deals 90 damage on impact. Symmetra is able to deploy 3 sentry turrets. Your sentries have a very low health and can be destroyed very easily. You are able to see the amount of turrets you have alive at the bottom left of your screen next to your health. These turrets can lock onto enemy targets, dealing small amounts of damage. Depending on how many sentry turrets are locked onto an enemy, the damage will be increased. Your turret's range of dealing damage is mid to low range. Sentry turrets can also break certain abilities such as Wrecking Ball's Minefield, Junkrat's Mine, Junkrat's Riptire, and Torbjorn's turret. Every 12 seconds, you are able to deploy a teleporter in the direction you are looking in. Once you deploy your teleporter, it will spawn one where you were looking and one in front of you. You can go through each end of the teleporter, taking you back and forth. To use the teleporter, press your interact key while standing near it. You could also use the teleporter as many times as you want in 10 seconds before it disappears. You could also teleport as many teammates as you'd like through the teleporter in the 10-second time period before it breaks. Before the teleporter breaks, there would be a flashing animation on the outline of the teleporter. You can also break your teleporter at any time by pressing the deploy key again. Your teleporter can be destroyed by enemies. Your teleporter's health is made up of 20 health and 80 shield. Any damage taken from the 80 shield health is able to regenerate back. Photon Barrier is a 4000 health wall that stretches out across the entire map. Enemies cannot penetrate the barrier but can deal damage to it. There are 2 different ways of using your Photon Barrier. You place it down horizontally, or you could place it down vertically. Photon Barrier will stay up for 12 seconds unless broken by the enemy team. It is very rare that your Photon Barrier will be destroyed, but it is possible. The two different uses of Symmetra's Photon Projector are very situational. When an enemy tank is pushing towards you, you would want to use your primary fire to get beam charge off of them. Using your secondary fire on a tank isn't really going to benefit you because you are really only dealing poke damage to them that can be replaced very quickly by their supports. Symmetra's fully charged primary fire is really hard to out-heal if you are being consistent with it. Make sure to not only focus the enemy tank only when you have a fully charged beam. If you are able to focus the squishies on the enemy team, then do so. Having a fully charged beam while attacking an enemy squishy melts their health very fast if you are consistent. As for Symmetra's secondary fire, you should only be using this in two different ways. One way of using it while you are in a farther distance from your enemy, spamming fully charged orbs down a choke point of the map is really ideal when you are at far distance. The only other way you could use your secondary fire is when you are in very close range of an enemy. If your primary fire isn't close to being fully charged, then using a fully charged orb at close range with enemies is ideal. It may take time to practice these shots at enemies, which is okay. A great way to practice landing your orbs is trying to predict which direction the enemy is going to move into. Strategically placing your sentry turrets is very important. Try to avoid placing all your turrets in one place. Enemies that are able to deal burst damage could break them all at once. It is not worth placing all of your sentry turrets down in one place for them to be broken all at once right after. You would then be stuck with having to wait on your cooldown to get all three of them back. Try placing your sentries more spaced out because they will take more time to break. Also try placing your turrets in a direction your enemies will most likely not face while passing a choke point. This takes their attention off you and your team and onto the turrets. While they are trying to break your sentry turrets, your team will most likely be able to deal more damage to the enemies that are distracted by them. Usually people think of Symmetra's turrets as a defensive piece of utility. There are ways for you to use her sentry turrets aggressively. I will explain this in the tips and tricks chapter of this video, so skip ahead if you want to know before moving forward. There are many more uses to Symmetra's teleporter than just TPing your team out of spawn to get to the objective faster than the enemy. You could also use her teleporter defensively and aggressively like your sentry turrets. Placing your teleporter behind you allows you to play choke points more aggressively. The second the enemy pushes into you, you take your teleporter to get out safely. Another way you could use your teleporter is to escape ultimates. For example, if you're in the midst of Maze Blizzard, you could quickly place your teleporter down to get out before you freeze. If you hear a Doomfist use his ult, you could place your teleporter down. If he decides to land on you, you can take your teleporter to dodge his ultimate. Using your teleporter aggressively allows you to teleport behind the enemy team to deal damage or maybe even get a kill or two and safely getting out. Make sure you aren't overstaying your welcome in the enemy's backline. The point of doing this is to go in and get out without dying. The higher the rank gets, the more people are aware of this or have faster reaction time. Also be aware of what characters you are teleporting behind. Try avoiding characters that can one-shot combo you in close range. Instead of going behind the enemy, you could use your teleporter to take off angles or high grounds. This will take the attention off of some of the enemies from your team, allowing your team to deal damage to them while they aren't paying attention. This also goes for whenever you teleport behind someone if they alert their team. There are so many different ways to place your Photon Barrier. This all depends on your current team fight situation. If you are wanting to get the upper hand in a fight or push into the enemies, place your wall vertically into the fight, splitting the battlefield in half. This allows you and your team to go back and forth through the wall while dodging damage. This can also block off healing from enemies if the supports are on the other side of the wall than their teammates. If you are wanting to defend an area from being pushed, you could place your photon barrier horizontally. This helps your team deny the enemy from pushing. For the enemy team to deal damage to your team, they have to push through the barrier. For example, if only the enemy tank pushes through your barrier, you and your team need to deal as much damage to them as possible before their supports push through the barrier to heal them. Your photon barrier doesn't always need to be placed a certain way. You could always get creative depending on the team fight. Our ultimate is very situational and depends on your team's positioning and the enemy team's positioning. Turret bombing is a quick way to get kills and eliminate the enemy team's backline. First, start off by placing 3 turrets on the ground or surface. Next, place your teleporter on top of the turrets. This will teleport the 3 turrets on the ground to the other end of the teleporter. If you teleport these 3 turrets onto an enemy in the backline, it will deal enough damage to kill them quickly. To one-shot combo them, place your 3 turrets and teleport them. As soon as you place your teleporter, take the teleporter quickly while charging up a secondary fire orb. When you take the teleporter, quickly find your enemy and hit them with the orb. This will deal 90 damage along with the 3 turrets damaging them. This will just about kill someone instantly if done correctly. Again, be careful who you are doing this to because you could either get one-shot comboed or all of your turrets can be broken instantly if the enemy has enough reaction time to do so. If you have good communication with your teammates, there are many ultimates that you can combo with her teleporter to easily win team fights. Here is a list of heroes that you can combo with. D.Va. There are 2 ways you could send D.Va's self-destruct through your teleporter. You could either send it through with her boosters, or a more intermediate way is for D.Va to place her self-destruct in place. Then place your teleporter right on top of it while teleporting it into the middle of a fight or behind a shield. This can win team fights very easily if done correctly. Orisa. This combo is very similar to D.Va's self-destruct. Have your Orisa place her ultimate down near you. Place the teleporter on top of her to teleport her into the middle of a teamfight or backline. As soon as she teleports through, she could unleash her surge early, dealing tons of damage or even picking up a few kills. It is important to wait a few seconds to let her surge charge up to deal maximum damage. Reinhardt. You could teleport Reinhardt into the backline or behind a shield and he could use his Earth Shatter to stun everyone in his path. If used correctly, you can win a teamfight easily. Ashe. Although this isn't used much, it doesn't make a very big difference from using Bob regularly. If your teleporter is placed down, you could send Bob through it. He will keep running straight after taking the teleporter until he hits a wall. Cassidy. When Cassidy uses his Deadeye, you could place a teleporter on him and into the enemy backline, behind his shield, or give him line of sight of where the enemy team is hiding. This can win teamfights easily if used correctly. Junkrat. Although this isn't used much, it can sometimes make a big difference if used correctly. If your teleporter is placed down, Junkrat can send his Riptire into the teleporter and explode it. Usually, you would place your teleporter down quickly into the enemy team or place it down into a place where the enemy doesn't have line of sight of it. Mei. Again, this isn't used much, but it has more risk than reward sometimes. As soon as Mei takes your teleporter, she can cast her Blizzard into the enemy team. As soon as she casts her ultimate, she can quickly take the teleporter to get out safely. This will leave your enemies frozen in the team fight, possibly won. Torbjorn. I've never really seen this done before with a big outcome of it, but you could actually send Torbjorn's turret through your teleporter. If there's a spot that Torbjorn can't really get to place his turret, you could do this, but it's almost no different than him taking the teleporter and placing it down. Blocking abilities / ultimates with your turret is very practical and hard to do sometimes. There are only a few things that you could block with your turret. Orisa's Javelin. It is very precise to line up, but if done correctly, you could cast a turret and her javelin will hit the turret instead of stunning you. Roadhog's Hook. Again, it's very precise to line up, but if done correctly, you could cast a turret and the hook will break on the turret instead of stunning you. Cassidy's Deadeye. Blocking Cassidy's Deadeye is more intermediate. If you are unable to see cover during his Deadeye, look directly at his head. If timed correctly, cast your turret whenever you think he is going to shoot. You will successfully block it with your turret. These are just a few bonus abilities that you can avoid that don't include Symmetra's turret. Reinhardt's Earth Shatter. If you are able to predict a Reinhardt Shatter, you could block it with Photon Barrier. Zarya's Graviton Surge. If you get pulled into Graviton Surge, place a teleporter to safely teleport out. This will let you and your teammates take your teleporter out to safety. If there are any topics that I didn't cover in this video, feel free to leave a comment, but that's all I have for this guide. If you found any of this information helpful, please be sure to leave a like or even subscribe. I post Symmetra content at least twice every week. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.